Hello viewers. Do you like being on top? Well, I like being at Buderim on top. Let's check it out. Come along with me on CoffeeChillTV. Like, share and subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. So folks, welcome to CoffeeChillTV again, and live to tape narration. And today we're going to, go on a walk and talk. The walk side of it, I'll show you some visuals and point out some local location features. We'll talk a little bit about Buderim itself. Additionally, as we're on Main Street in one of the busiest and most populous suburbs on the Sunshine Coast, Buderim, I want to talk about this concept of filming in the public square, being filmed in the public square. I'm going to talk about that as a kind of a sub-agenda. So that's the talk side of today's walk and talk. So as we stare across at Buderim Mountain State School, it's a Sunday today, guys. It's probably low 20s. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and racquetball. Have you got on the bandwagon with racquetball? Seems to be increasingly popular all around the world. So folks, we're in the rear car park at the Middies Shopping Centre, staring at Buderim Thai Massage, and keen to make the point when we talk about Buderim. Buderim is geographically spread out. It's a big suburb, okay? 4556 is a large postcode. If you're talking to a Sunshine Coast local and you tell them you're at Buderim, you need to be more precise. North Buderim, Buderim Meadows, Buderim on top, as we are right now. It's a large, geographically spread suburb. So folks, as we check out the racquetball action, Buderim. Before I moved to the Sunshine Coast, and I moved to the Sunshine Coast, I bought a house in the 2000s on the Sunshine Coast, early 2000s, at Little Mountain, talking about Buderim Mountain State School, across the road here. People used to tell me that Buderim was God's waiting room. God's waiting room. What were they on about? God's waiting room, Buderim. Let's just say no shortage of retirement villages, aged care, respite centres, private hospitals, there's a lot of folks who are, in their senior years living at Buderim. Plenty of young people too. And Buderim, guys, if you come here Monday to Saturday at this time of the day, very challenging to get a car park. Now, it wasn't that easy for me to get a car park this morning, Sunday morning. But typically, Sunday mornings, Buderim on top, unless there's a special event on, yeah, you'll find a park easier than certainly during the week and or Saturday morning. Gets pretty hectic up here, Buderim on top. So we're on the corner of Ballinger Road and Burnett. Stare across at another Thai massage place, and I can tell you folks, as I try to pivot around to the left, if you head down here, Ballinger, that'll take you towards Mount Creek, Sippy Downs, basically the university of the Sunshine Coast, Uni SC. My old university. I recently did some filming out there. You can head to the uni this way, Ballinger Road. Alright folks, Main Street, Ballinger Road, Burnett Street. Okay, it's a beautiful looking roundabout in my opinion, and this is the heart of the action. This is the epicenter of Buderim, and we're at the epicenter. So let's get into today's sub agenda. Today's socioeconomic philosophic chat on CoffeeChillTV. And folks, today, filming in the public square. This is about as public square as you can get for the Sunshine Coast. And I'm going to tell you the impetus, what drove me to make this today's talking points. And as always, folks, I'm always interested in your views. So please watch this video to the end and don't be afraid to give me your 2 cents on this topic. So folks, this topic, filming in the public square, being filmed in the public square, it's been top of my mind for a while and been meaning to make a video about it. But yeah, look, last Saturday morning, the final sort of prompter for me was I was filming at Picnic Point, and I'd finished filming and I was packing up my stuff. I was doing one of my little podcast style vlogs. I was talking about, a bit of travel talk, and I heard this voice behind me. I do not consent to being filmed. And he's just talking to himself, I don't know, talking loud. And this guy walked in front of me, and he did like cat weasel, this bloke. Scruffy, vagrant looking sort of guy. And I said, mate, I wasn't filming you. No, I don't consent. I said, mate, even if I was, I don't need your consent because we're in the public square. Additionally, I pointed out to him that there are CCTV cameras all over Picnic Point, that we were both being filmed as we were having this conversation as well. So this guy, you know, a bit of a struggler in life. The pathetic thing about this bloke is that, you know, with due respect, you know, he's not Ryan Gosling, he's not Sydney Sweeney, okay, like yours truly. He's not hyper photogenic. He's not famous. Why would anyone want to film him? Okay, but the people who complain the most about being filmed by bloggers and vloggers and whoever else are the people who bloggers and vloggers don't want to film. You know, they're not famous, they're not photogenic, and yeah, they're actually people you don't want in the shot when you're making stuff like this. So folks, another bit of motivation for me making this clip was it late last year, the Coldplay concert, and there was that couple, you know, and they were sort of canoodling at the Coldplay concert when the camera panned around, and when the camera hit them, they looked very embarrassed and they couldn't dig a hole deep enough to hide in. And my understanding is that they were both married, but they were at the Coldplay concert with people who were not their spouses. And it started a conversation about this being filmed in the public square, you know. Were they fair game or not? Here's my 2 cents. My 2 cents, that couple were fair game. It's a Coldplay concert, okay? Should you be having an affair anyway? If you are having an affair, and look, I've never been married, but why would you go to the Coldplay concert? There's a good chance you'll be filmed, you know. So people who resent being filmed in the public square, you know, have a think about where you are. Additionally, the old cliche, if you always do the right thing, you never have to worry about doing the wrong thing. So if you're in the public square, don't engage in embarrassing, illegal, illicit, immoral acts, okay? Because cameras are everywhere. I'm being filmed right now, okay? Across the street here, there's going to be CCTV cameras. Some of them you can see, some of you can't. So, you know, I'm going to behave myself. As I stand in Emporium Lane here in Buderim, another little driver. I watched a video, it must have been about 6 months ago, and I like this vlogger. He's more a kind of a legal kind of guy, and he was talking about in the Philippines that there was some proposal that bloggers and vloggers, I suppose like yours truly, but they're probably thinking more of the high volume, high profile people, to be registered, because, you know, some of the locals had complained about people like me walking around doing these sorts of videos and, you know, invasion of privacy. I find that kind of ironic coming from the Philippines. Let me tell you why. Yeah, so I found it kind of ironic because I'd only just watched a week earlier a video where a Filipino tourist in Australia was running around Tamworth in and out of restaurants and cafes and museums and Main Street, shooting lots of footage. It's a pretty good video too, but there were heaps of people in that video. She didn't ask them for their consent, nor did she have to. And here's the thing, I've got friends and acquaintances who are Filipino, love taking photos and making videos, and, you know, some of the most popular and successful travel vloggers are Filipinos, and they film in places like this, and capture all kinds of images and people. And you know, the idea that the Filipino government would single foreign vloggers and bloggers and not think about the fact that the most popular, the most active people who film in the public square without asking for consent are the locals. Let me talk about Thailand. So I watched another vlog and they were talking about Thailand, and this person was complaining that, you know, he'd been to Koh San Road and that he'd been filmed by all of these foreigners in Thailand, Farang vloggers on Koh San Road. Now, this is Main Street Buderim. This is small fry compared to Koh San Road, Bangkok. It's hard to get more public square than Koh San Road, Bangkok. And I've been to Koh San Road many times. I've been filmed heaps. God knows where my image is out there in social media land. I don't care. I have no business complaining about being filmed on Koh San Road. Additionally, the people who filmed me the most last time I went to Koh San Road were not foreigners. They were local Thais. So once again, guys, you know, don't throw stones from a glass house. And also remember that, you know, in my opinion, I'm interested in your thoughts, guys, you're fair game when you're in the public square. You have no right to privacy, in my opinion. Folks, another video that I watched late last year, also a bit of an impetus for today. I watched this Aussie guy. I like this guy. Can't remember his name. But anyway, he was walking around Sanur and he was walking along the path there at the beach, you know, public square with a capital P. And I overheard these two blokes, "Don't film me." A couple of crusty old Aussie colonels. Miserable expats probably. "Don't film me." Listen, old mates, you're in Sanur on the boulevard at the beach, sitting street side. Don't complain about being filmed. Also, who'd want to film you guys anyway? Really, you know, just behave. Montana's on Buderim. I've never been, but looks like it's doing a pretty good trade. And whilst we're talking about restaurants and bars, another story motivated me to make this video. Last year, Australia Day, I was in Udon Thani and I was I visited a couple of sports bars. And Australia Day, Udon Thani's a pretty big, sort of embraces it, you know. A lot of the bars have an Aussie kind of theme, clientele leaning that way as well. And I remember one of the bars I went to, the staff were shooting some footage so that they could put it up on social media the next day and say, "Hey, thank you everyone who came to Australia Day at our bar." And I saw a couple of these pathetic Farangs shushing the camera away, hiding their faces. Idiots. Absolute idiots. You've gone out on Australia Day to a bar where there's heaps of people taking photos, including the staff, and you're hiding from the camera. What are you? Are you on the run? You know, if you're on the run, you shouldn't be in a place like that, because you're going to get filmed. But it's not about that. It's about their ego. It's about their narcissism. They think they're so important and entitled that, oh, you can't film me. No, mate, I can film you. You're in my bar. You're in my restaurant. It's a public event. It's the public square. Okay, folks, talking about bars. The Buderim Tavern. The mighty Buderim Tavern. The last time I was here was a Thursday night in the 2000s. I was a mature age student at the University of the Sunshine Coast doing my master's degree in financial planning, and there were some younger students in one of the elective classes that I was doing, and they invited me to come to uni night, Thursday night at the Buderim Tavern. I had a great time. The days of youth, young again. Buderim Tavern, it's huge in there, guys. They have a really great restaurant, not the cheapest restaurant in town, but they do some fantastic meals. It's a great place for a beer, and if you want to have a punch, you can. And obviously they've got a large BWS bottle, which is buttressed by the tavern. So folks, excuse the traffic noise. I want to make a point about, I'm going to call it the line. Let's talk about the line. So folks, I'm filming in the public square today, but I'm doing it in an overt way. I'm trying to be respectful as well, but I'm not hiding. I don't have meta glasses on. I don't have hidden microphones and cameras. I'm not trying to catch people out. I'm just overtly filming and being as respectful as I can. Unfortunately, there are a lot of disrespectful vloggers out there who, they're too ostentatious. They block everyone's way, and they interrupt the traffic flow, be it pedestrian traffic. I saw some guy the other day, shirtless, and he's in Phuket, and his friend was filming him, and he was in the middle of the street with his shirt off, flagging down cars, begging for a lighter. What a loser. What a loser. But it was on Instagram, loading up the gram. Ridiculous. So yeah, you can be too ostentatious when you film in the public square, and when you do that, you cross the line. As we stare back at Montana's on Buderim, it's okay for me to film here, but if I was to walk inside that restaurant, go to the back corner and shove this camera phone in the mush of people trying to have a private conversation meal, well, that's not on. That's crossing the line. So, I'm in the public square, I'm being respectful, but yeah, once you go inside the door, it's private property. And whenever I do cafe vlogs and bar vlogs, and I always ask for permission before I start filming. You say, hey guys, going to take some footage for Instagram or Facebook, or I might do a short vlog. And I've only ever had one knockback, and the person who knocked me back, she asked me what was my Instagram, and I said it's CoffeeChillTV. She had a look, and she said, no, please take some photos. Because, guys, my heart's in the right place. I'm here just trying to promote business. So, people who complain about people doing what I'm doing today, maybe you lack a little bit of perspective. Just putting it out there. But yeah, hey, there is a line, and I try not to cross that line. So folks, you know, doing the right thing when you're in the public square. I mentioned at the start of this video about the Coldplay concert, and you know, and the couple there are allegedly involved in a little bit of high infidelity and caught on camera. Going back to the mid-1980s, and this is a true story, guys. I had an office job in Brisbane. One of my colleagues had called in sick. You know, he did his best sick day voice to the boss, and I was later that day, I think at lunchtime, we had the TV on in the staff room. It was the first day of the Ashes test, Australia versus England. And this is a true story, guys. We saw our old mate in the crowd. You know, the Channel 9 cameras, they panned that ground a lot, and they picked up this guy. And you know, suffice to say, he had some explaining to do when he came into the office on Monday morning. It's a true story, guys. And another true story, guys, probably about 5 years ago. I was in Concan having a beer. Ended up chatting to this another Aussie guy. I only just met him that night. And we were talking about, you know, the fact that I'm a blogger and a vlogger. And he said, he told me a story about how he'd been out at Nana, Sukhumvit, Bangkok. And, you know, he had a few sherbets, and he's walking across the zebra crossing. And he, you know, got cut off by this tuk-tuk, and you know, he threw a half-empty water bottle at the tuk-tuk. He missed the tuk-tuk. Didn't think anything of it until about 2 weeks later. He told me that one of his friends sent him a web link, and he said to him, "Hey, I've just seen you on YouTube." He wasn't happy about it. I don't blame him for not being happy about it. And we had a bit of a chat, and I said, you know, Sukhumvit Road, Soi 4, Nana, Bangkok, cameras all over that place. CCTV cameras, tourists, bloggers, vloggers, Instagrammers, TikTokers. I said, you know, if you misbehave in a place like that, yeah, you could go viral online. He said, yeah, and he said he wasn't that worried about it really. He said he's just a bit miffed and the way he found out. And I said, yeah, look, you know, if you always do the right thing, you haven't got to worry about doing the wrong thing. And I try to behave myself when I'm in the public square. How about you? So folks, as we come down the home straight, what's my position? Yeah, well, my position is if I'm in the public square, I'm fair game to be filmed. So I try to do the right thing. If I'm filming in the public square, I try to respect the line, be respectful, and not hide the fact that I'm filming. You're better to be overt than covert when you do this sort of thing in my position. Well, that is my position. And as we stand in the car park at Middies with the gentle hum and strum of the big air conditioning units, we're going to wrap it up, guys. And I'm interested in your thoughts. You know, there's that continuum. There's the free for all, anything goes. And then there's the other, you know, no filming under any circumstances. I think the answer is in the middle. But what do you think, guys, on this topic? Filming in the public square. Fair game, not fair game? What are your thoughts? Keep it classy if you wish to opine. And hey, cheers for watching, and let's see you again soon on CoffeeChillTV. All the best.